Hey, 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 hey. We are back. We're back, everybody. Welcome inside of the KJLH Love Zone. We talk about love. We talk about sex. We talk about relationship. We talk about relation trips, all that different stuff. And wow, my name is Kevin Nash, and I got my co-hosts in the building. We got let's do ladies first. Aishia Deal, how are you, my love? You are amazing. Uh-oh. You got an amazing knee. We got to give props to the knee. Can you please introduce your knee, please? I'm sure it's got to have a separate name, right? Hello. Got that oiled up knee. Is it real? I mean, you got it held up like it's a prop, like, you know, it's a part of the show, you know? Okay. So you have to blend it together, like you put it in your Vitamix, or then you blend it with ice and fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, so it'll smell all good and yummy. Nice, nice, nice. And Dr. Justin Clardy, my brother, how are you, my man? Yeah. Yeah, man, you had a very interesting week, right? Well, this is your topic, man. This is your baby. So you presented it to us, and we're like, yeah, let's go ahead and run with it. But before we get into tonight's topic, a few things. Folk have been hitting me up all week to comment about this and respond about, you know, this. What's this Derek guy? I've never seen any of his videos or his postings, or I don't know what the big hoopla is about. So I don't know who can fill me in, but like people have been texting and calling, asking my opinion about it. Like, really? And I said, okay, well, tune in on Sunday to the Love Zone. We might touch, just give it maybe 60 seconds or so, you know. There we go. So who's got the deal? So Aisha, you know everything. So you up on pop culture and all that stuff. Oh, who? Wait a minute. Hold on. 60 seconds. We can't do this in 60 seconds. No, 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 no. We were friends. Okay, go ahead. Start there. Okay. Are you hearing what you're saying? He did what? Now wait a second. I'm looking at our comments tonight. Someone said that they can't hear us. Now I don't know how true that is. Now I'm seeing volume on my end. Um. Okay. I am not sure, but I'm seeing levels on my end, and I just don't want to happen this week what happened the first week. Someone says, no, we can't hear. Oh, okay, can't hear her. Oh, we can't hear her. Oh, but you can hear me? I mean, I hear you just fine. I hear you just fine. All right, so Isha, you may have to start over. Hold on a sec. You may have to start over because they said they can't not hear you. So, one sec. Hold on. We're gonna fix this and make sure it's right because you got some juicy stuff. You got some juicy stuff. Now, hold on a sec. All right. Okay. Hopefully they can hear now. All right. Go ahead and talk.
Okay.
All right. You guys can hear her now.
Can you hear me now? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Check.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We got
I think
action.
so. I think we got it. Okay, so let's start all over again, guys. So
I love it.
before we get the show started tonight, we got a very, very hot topic tonight that Dr. Clardy came up with. And before we get into tonight's question that we're going to ask the audience tonight about sex. And by the way, it's been a long time since I've talked about sex publicly or live on the radio. It's been some years. So this is going to be a very juicy conversation. And I'm going to try my best to be as transparent as possible, believe it or not. In light of what
words you're using, juicy, and I mean,
in light,
I can make it juicy.
I know she's gonna catch up, but you know what? But you're about 5 minutes late, Aisha. You know what I mean? I said juicy a long time ago, and now you just now picking it up.
Okay. So are we still talking about Derek really fast?
So before we go there, so like I said, in light of us all being transparent, of course, there are some things that dropped in the news that everybody's been talking about for the past week and a half. I got a text from one of my coworkers, one of my managers at KJLH, said, "Hey man, you got to talk about this." And you know, and even online, people hit me up on Instagram and Twitter and texted me about, "Hey man, what's your response to what's going on with this Derek guy?" And I'm like, I don't even know who this is. I've never seen him before in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen a video, never heard of his name. Like, where have I been, right? Yeah. So before we get into tonight's topic, I guess we would have to just kind of address that and give some time to what's going on with Derek. Now, you were saying that, Aisha, you guys were friends?
We became friends because we both have a platform. My platform is relationships, and so is Derek. And we both kind of went after John Gray, right? The pastor John Gray, who was also doing some extramarital affair foolishness. So we became friends. So basically, Derek was out here laying it low and spreading it wide. Okay, yeah, he had some women around the U.S. and he was exposed for it. Tasha K, the blogger, had conversations with multiple women around the country. Some of them had been in Derek's marital home and in his marital bed. And apparently he's had a long time mistress who also came forward, and she had some receipts that made it hard to not believe her relationship dynamic with Derek. And it just blew up. It blew up, and I had no idea. I stopped talking to Derek for my own reasons.
So all of this unfolded live on what?
Last week. It started on YouTube. And
that's what I'm going to ask you. So it unfolded on social media. So they had these conversations, these shows or whatever, live on YouTube or whatever. Really?
Yeah. And it made it. She presented a case that made it very hard for him to come back from.
So I just heard about it last week. So this has been going on for the past few weeks or so, right? Like.
Yeah. It's been going on for a week, but it's been so much information that people's heads have been literally spinning. But I'm going to tell you this, Kevin and Justin, and for the women who are watching, it is literally time that specifically Black women need not put another man on this high pedestal. I'm just saying this because these men are not necessarily sincere. They are profiting off of the broken hearts of women. And they're using this for their own personal gain. Derek was using this platform not for good. I don't know if this was his intention initially, or perhaps maybe just the fame and the women, perhaps it went to his head and he saw easy opportunities. I don't know. But his pedestal came crumbling down on top of him. And, you know. So
he's been around. He's been around for a while?
I don't know, because I just met him in 2019 and I didn't know he even existed before then.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know how long he's been around. I met him in 2019 and I stopped speaking to him at the end of 2019.
So what was his, what was his platform about? I mean, was he a teacher? Was he a pastor? Was he a youth leader?
His whole platform was don't trust these men out here. That was his platform.
Okay, all right.
It was don't trust these men, ladies. These men are lying. Don't trust them. And come to find out, he was the same man that he was warning women about.
Okay, so my deal is this, my take. And like I said, I've never seen this dude before, never heard any of his commentary. But I was thinking too that was his messages flawed? Was something wrong with his messages?
No.
Okay, well, I mean, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages.
Well, but if you're using the message to scam women.
Okay, so how did he scam women?
Well,
did he take money from them? Did he?
Well, but you're scamming women if you're in it for personal gain. If I'm rocking you, if I'm telling you everything you want to hear, and I'm rocking you to sleep, shh, hush, little baby, and then I'm doing all this to screw you.
Well, the devil tells the truth too. I mean, I've read some scripture too. I mean, the devil's like, hey, like, you're not gonna surely die. You go eat this, but you go halfway die. Like you're not gonna like all the way so much die. I mean, the devil's always mixing in truth. You know what I mean? And then once you
he was
eat or bite that apple, you know what I mean? He's like, oh, you tricked me, you got me. So I mean, the brother didn't lie about his messages.
He didn't
Maybe
lie.
he was talking about his own character, right?
But Kev, I think many people might say, that to not lie is just sort of like a basic sort of step of human decency, right? You don't really get extra points for not lying. There's a lot more steps on top of that are required in sort of carrying yourself about what an ethical character or sort of doing business ethically in a particular sort of way. I mean, capitalism itself is exploitative, right? But I don't know if that sort of gives people just a pass to treat others, as a mere means to an end. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what Aisha is kind of saying. And
let's throw this in here too, is that what made it worse is that as someone who's his personal friend, and we've had a multitude of conversations about religion and spirituality, he's not a Christian. And that's what makes it worse, is that when all this happened, he started talking about God. He's never had a Christian. He's never believed in God. He's never been spiritual or religious. And so when his mistress said it as well, he's not religious. That's not who he is. Then now you're playing with God. Now you're talking about God when you're talking in your video about the things you've done, and you're bringing God's name into it. Now you're playing with religion.
Gotcha.
That's not and I get it. The devil knows the Bible. I get it. But I mean, the things that he's done in his actions and behavior are so disgusting that honestly, he just needs to go away for now.
Now, too, I was, this is what I was thinking, because no way, no how I'm defending this cat, because like I said, number one, I don't know him. I've never seen him before in my life, never heard a video or anything. It's his commentaries. I haven't at all, right? But it's amazing how we, put on a pedestal, right? These social media influencers, if you will, right? And we hold them to a higher standard, compare that to pastors and preachers who do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's like we want to crucify this cat. I mean, he just got a social media platform, but then, I mean, he's not trying to lead nobody to Christ. He's not a religious person and talking about God at all. But when it comes to pastors, we want to give them a pass.
Yeah.
And that honestly needs to stop. We have to stop glorifying and putting these people on pedestals. They're human beings. Like, there's no way on earth people should have been this devastated over what Derek did. Like, but that's what happens when you idolize. It's like almost like they put him up like he was a god.
Right.
Why are people so devastated?
So Aisha, so when you said earlier too, when you were talking to women specifically about, making sure don't put any guy, above God, right? You're talking about pastors as well, right? Pastors and preachers.
As women, we have to stop. I'll just say this, Justin and Kevin. When's the last time you've seen men sell out a venue to go hear a woman talk to men about other men?
I mean, it depends on what your take is on the Meg Thee Stallion concert.
Good and damn well that men are not going to sell out no venue to see me standing talking to them about other men. It's never going to happen. Right. Women need to look inside themselves. It's time for them to learn to trust themselves and find those answers in themselves, and stop putting these men Stop putting them on these pedestals. Because at the end of the day, they're not in it for the good of women. They're just profiting off. Derek made millions. He had to at least have made $1 million off of his merchandise in his seminars.
Oh, he put on seminars too?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
He definitely made over $1 million.
I didn't know that.
Exactly.
All right, so I guess we can put this thing to rest. So we addressed it, everybody. Everybody's saying yes. Everybody's saying hey. Cecilia, hello. Hello, Cecilia. Joe Malone, thank you for joining us tonight. Joe Malone, he hears us.
My favorite perfume, Joe Malone.
All right. So tonight we're talking about, we got a phone call. Can you believe it? Got a phone call. Hello, caller. How are you? They hung up. They just wanted to see if the phone was working. Yes, it's working. Oh, by the way, so if you guys want to chime in tonight's discussion or anything we're talking about tonight or anything dealing with relationship, love, marriage, sex, or whatever, feel free to call us at 310-910-9676. That's 310-910-9676, extension number 2. Or if not, you can always make a comment right here on Facebook because we're on Facebook Live, the KJLH Facebook Live page. All right, so Justin, man, you got the floor, man. So this topic, what's it all about, man? Explain it to us.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, this week, I'm chilling, right? I'm kind of increasing my Twitter presence, I guess, a little bit. I've been tweeting a lot more, I guess, the last couple of months or so, right? And so, of course, some tweets come across my timeline and I think are interesting. And No Name, who is an artist, but also an activist, runs a pretty dope book club. But yeah, is a hip hop artist, rapper, poet, so on and so forth. Tweeted this tweet out that said, sex is fun, right? Nothing else, just no context, just sex is fun. And I thought about this and, you guys know this about me. I shared it with you guys earlier in the week, right? And I just was like, this is interesting because I wonder what people think about this, right? We oftentimes want to associate sex with sexiness, right? And then, of course, I put out my own little Twitter poll and I put out my own little Instagram poll to hear what my audience had to say about whether or not sex is sexy. And I mean, on Instagram, it was something like 90% said like, yes, sex is sexy. And I had like it was literally like one voter or something like that. It was like, no. And I was like, man, I held it down for them because, I do think that, I don't know, maybe sometimes sex can be a little bit more than just sexy. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's a question that's been plaguing me, right, throughout the week, right? Is sex sexy and should it be? And so for me, when I got to thinking about this, right, I'm like, okay, let's think about what's involved, right? Like there are fluids being exchanged, right? There, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, all of it, saliva, blood, whatever the case might be. I don't know if you know about Odell Beckham and his fetishes, right? But I mean, it can get a little, more fluids can be involved. But, so I do think that sort of like on a very base and very animalistic level, right? Sex can be pretty downright disgusting, right? Or nasty. But then also, sex can be fun or funny. It can be awkward. And so, yeah, I was really interested in what y'all had to think about sex being sexy. I mean, I think that it can be, but I don't know if it should be, right? I think that maybe in, the majority of my own sexual experience is only about, I would say that the sexy ones are like in the majority, right? And I mean, I try to set a vibe, lights, music, whatever. But yeah.
What does your sex being sexy look like?
Oh, my sex being
sexual experience. What did that consist of?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on how much time we have, if I'm being honest, right? Like, I mean, I definitely think that quicker exchanges, you kind of got to just make a plan, right? And do what you can with what you got. But I mean, if I have time and space, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to probably set a vibe. I have a couple of playlists just already ready to go on Tidal. I was supporting Tidal because it is a Black-owned business, but they kind of sold it. But anyway, we can get into that later. But yeah, like, I have a couple of like playlists already kind of locked in. You can see the little purple light I got over here popping to kind of get my set together. But also, it's nothing to just carry that up to the room real quick and kind of set the vibe. So yeah, I mean, I think that in general, I tend to be a lot more tender, right, passionate when I'm engaging people in that space. And for some people, that is sexy, right? But I don't know. I'm also having conversation. I'm asking questions. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You said what?
During the sex, you're asking questions?
Yeah, I mean, so last week or the last show I mentioned erotic fatigue. Y'all will really stick with me when I use this language of erotic space because I think of like
I ain't got time
erotic space.
for erotic fatigue. I don't have time.
No, but like I use erotic space, right? And so I'm talking in the erotic space, right? It may not be penetrative sex that's happening, right? It may be impact play, right? Or for those in our audience that may be familiar with like the kink community, so on and so forth, right? And again, you have to communicate these things. This is where people talk about safe words, blah, 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 right? So yeah, you're asking questions, you know what I'm saying? You're engaged, you're checking in with people, right? How they're doing, right? Whether or not the next act that maybe we haven't done before is actually one that you'll consent to, so on and so forth. So for me, I'm pretty communicative. What about for y'all? I'm interested. Is y'all sex sexy or is it kind of more just like mundane?
There's so many. My first, before I jump into it, I have one question for you. Are you doing that for everyone you have sex with? Like every new person or someone that you think is special? Are you doing the lights and the vibe and for everybody?
Well, I mean, for me, right, chances are you're not even in my space in that way if I haven't, vetted you in a particular kind of way and like found myself attracted to you, so on and so forth. So you're special in some sense, right? Kanye says, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. That's good for my ego, right? So it's like, if you're in this space, we both made some decisions. So yeah, and I mean everybody. Again, you and Kev, I think y'all think I have access to crazy stuff. Like I mean,
listen,
where y'all hanging out? Where are y'all hanging out, man? Because I can't say that I have that luck.
I was about to ask Aishia this too. It's like, okay, this is the question that she asked you, right? Like, what picture do you have of Dr. Clardy in your mind when you ask him, do you do that for everybody? As like he's running some sort of,
Yeah, right.
He got him running in and out. You know what I mean? You do that for everybody.
Probably insensitivity.
I mean, all 235 people. You do that for everybody.
Right.
Number one, you're single.
Yes, I am. Yes,
you're single. You're attractive. I'm just putting all the, you're attractive. You're single. You're a doctor. Okay, like you're young. Now I'm just calculating all of your, everything on your list. So right now that puts you at the top. Right? So for women, it's like you're a hot commodity. So I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think.
I do. So that's real. I do think that my privilege, right, sort of like my own positioning, does put me in a place where I have maybe more opportunities to engage people.
Vagina privilege, I would think. That's what it is.
Right? Like, I mean, I think I may have more opportunities, but I mean, if you'd have called me 10 years ago, it probably would be a different response. But right now, I'm a lot more selective with who I let in that space. So it's not really many people or,
Okay.
Yeah, many people.
So when I think about...
I would love to hear Aisha's response to this question, though,
When I think about sex being sexy, right? So number one, I would think it depends on who you're with, right? So for women, sex being sexy means literally being sexy. It means when you're in the act of sex, you're intentionally being sexy. So for me, it's what am I wearing? Like, first, what am I wearing? Because visually, men are visual. So am I wearing the one piece, G-string, dental floss, bow outfit that I have? You know what I mean? So like when he sees me, what am I going to be wearing? And like, what is my hair going to look like? I want to make sure from start to finish, it's always sexy.
What about a quickie? What about a quickie though? Like, are quickies sexy for you?
Well, of course they could be sexy, but for me as a woman, number one, I'm a Virgo. So for me, visually, I need everything to be sexy. But this is when I'm being intentional, right? Like if I want to blow your mind, then I need to make sure that every single thing that I do, I'm keeping sexy in mind. That's my facial, expressions. That's making sure my hair is, is whipping the way I need it to. It means that my body positionings is always like, arched correctly and making sure my kiss, what?
I'm just laughing because, that is intentional. Like, okay.
I'm making sure that my kisses are deep and passionate.
I can see you practicing in the mirror too. Do you practice in the mirror?
I mean, I do.
See, I got to make sure that my arc is perfect. Okay. Well, how would you know that?
So with that being said, that to me, that's sex being sexy, me being intentional. Now, quickies, I think, are very hot and sexy. Just but it has to be someplace I'm not supposed to do it, like the airport parking garage, right? So if I take a blanket out the trunk of my car and I'm taking you to the airport and you're getting ready to leave, and I say I want a quickie and I pull that blanket out and I open up my car door and then we do it right there, that's sexy because it's quick and it's a quickie.
Yeah, and that's
But am I giving? But throughout my life, am I giving the guys have sex with the sexy energy for all of them? No, because that's not the vibe with the people that,
Yeah, and I think there are other things too, like being in the space too, right? That can liven up the experience. Sort of like, if we bring in, like, if we're using cameras or footage or like things like this, I think that, or like a DSLR where you can actually see yourself as it's recording and kind of get into it that way. I do think that there are some things that you can add to the space that make it a little bit more sexy. That is not necessarily reliant on the women carrying the sexiness, of the experience for sure. But
I can relate to what. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just saying I like the playlist that you talk, because that adds energy to, well, personally for me, I like my sex music to be trap music. I mean, I don't necessarily.
Wow.
I don't necessarily.
R&B trap, right? Got to be R&B trap.
So some Bryson Tiller,
I like trap music. You know what I mean? Like, that's just.
I can relate to what Aishia was saying.
Should we get some ancillary content, as far as it goes to, like maybe make a playlist, for our listeners, right? That might complement their experiences.
Yeah, I think before we go there, I think to me, just kind of analyzing what this question is about, like, should the goal of sex be sexy? Like, should it be like your goal every time you have sex to be sexy? But I was thinking too that sexy is not a noun. It's not a person. It's not a place. It's not a thing. But it's an energy. It's a frequency. You know. And some people just don't have that sexy frequency. They don't have that sexy type of energy. Right. So in relationship, like, you may approach sex to procreate. Like, I'm with this person because, I want to make babies. I want to have a family. And that person may not necessarily be sexy, but you know what I'm saying? But I think for
sex isn't always sexy, guys. Let's talk about that. Okay, or long-term relationship sex isn't always sexy.
Right. But I'm saying I think it's a frequency. I think it's an attitude, right? And like I said, and everybody don't have that sort of sexiness or that frequency or that attitude.
So for you, Kev, people can't learn to be sexy or cultivate sexiness. So Justin Timberlake bringing sexy back is sort of like a failed project from the start.
No. I think you can create that atmosphere of sexiness. I think you can, because frequencies, like I'm on a piano, it's just a bunch of different frequencies on the piano, right? That's all it is. It creates this sound, but it all starts from a frequency. So a playlist might actually work, but if it's not there, it's not there.
Energy between two.
Yeah, if the energy is not there, it's just not there. And I think this is probably why some men and some women may have, side pieces. Like, they're with their main piece, but their main piece is like, I'm with this person for stability. I like the way they do laundry. It's family, but I need.
Most men don't marry their partners because they're sexy. They marry their partners because they know that they'll be good mothers, or because they're loyal. But a lot of men don't marry their partners because they're sexy as hell. And then that's the reason why they end up cheating, because they want to cheat with the sexy woman, and then they want the wholesome good girl to raise their children.
So in that instance,
Dr. Johnson just made a comment not too long ago. She's listening and she's watching right now. Dr. Johnson, she's talking about energy. Hey, call in, Dr. Johnson. It's a state of mind. Call in. The number is 310-910-9676. Choose option number 2 to get through. Go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Long-term relationships. What happens with that sexy? Because women, once they have children, that sexy energy is just not there. Even if it was there in the beginning.
Wait, it says who? What? When they have children, the sexy energy is not there.
A lot of times relationships, especially after children, that sexy energy with sex isn't there anymore.
I think that sexy energy begins to heighten for some reason, because then it becomes taboo. Like, okay, we got to wait until the kids go to sleep or whatever. You got to sneak and do it. You
that's
know,
that mindset.
we got to sneak and do it. Hey, like, you know, and then the woman begins to, you know, do it in places she would never do it before. Like, hey, let's do it by the barbecue pit outside. Okay, cool. They ain't watching. Let's go sneak in the car right quick. Like, what? You would never do it in the car. Why? Hey, because the kids are upstairs.
I want to touch back on, like, you know, that piece, Kev, that you talk about, like, should sex be sexy, right? Because I don't know if it always should be, right? Like, and this kind of relates to Aisha's point about, you know, some people not marrying their partners for their sexiness, because I do think that, you know, sex should be also like fun, right? It should be pleasurable.
It should be an experience. It's an experience.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And whether or not that's sexy or not, like, sex can be just sometimes awkward, right? Like, I mean, I remember, you know, back in the day, a long time ago, you know, like literally, like as I was sort of shifting positions with a partner, and this is maybe over a decade ago. You know what I mean? I was a little bit more limber then, but it's still like tricky, right? Because as I was lifting my leg, I actually kicked this person in the head. It was like, I know, right? But we laughed it off. No, we laughed it off or whatever, right? And after that, it actually, I think, sort of like fostered a deeper, like, sort of intimacy that we were able to kind of have that weird, awkward, uncomfortable moment with each other, right? And then kind of got back to business. Like,
you popped her in the head. Wow.
Like,
where you getting into when you kicked her? Were you about to helicopter her?
Nah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too graphic to our listeners, but I mean, it was really just like I was kind of trying to turn, right? And so it wasn't like a karate kick. You feel me? It was just like I was trying to turn. Now I have a lot of limbs, right? I'm 6'3". You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was trying to turn, and as I was turning my body, I lifted, like, it was my right leg and the right heel. It didn't, like, you know, just knock her upside. It just kind of like grazed her a little bit on the, like, you know, one of these little, I mean, you know, and it was weird. It was funny. You know, I'm apologetic. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I felt super awkward. I thought it was going to kill the move, but I don't know.
It didn't mess up the lace front at all. Didn't you know? She didn't have to adjust. Okay, just checking.
Cold part back then, lace fronts wasn't even really like that popping yet. So right. I don't think, as far, you know, but it was cool. It didn't mess up the lace front if it was a lace front. Actually, I know for a fact that wasn't a lace front.
Okay. All right. Okay.
At the end of the day, sometimes sex just needs to be messy and sloppy, because that's sometimes the best sex. When you don't care what you look like, your hair is a mess, it's wet, there's puddles in the bed. Like, sometimes that's just the best.
Right.
See, but like I said earlier too, because if you possess that sexy type frequency, that sexy energy, you know, anything could be sexy. Like, say, for instance, I know for me, like if a woman says, I'm going to come over there and fold up all your clothes, that's sexy to me. That thing turns me on. I made up your bed. Oh, thank you. That's sexy to me. You know what I mean? I want to come over and lotion your feet. Hey, that sort of stuff. So if you possess that sort of sexy energy yourself, any and everything becomes sexy. Yes, and I think that sexiness and that attitude, that energy can also be contagious. Yeah, you know, it can be contagious because they won't be like, I've never done this before. Oh.
But Kevin, do you find yourself trying to be sexy during sex?
You know, I've been sexy all my life, so I don't know what that is. I don't know how not to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the other side looks like.
You know?
Oh my God.
I don't know what the other side looks like. You got to ask somebody not sexy.
Oh my
For me, I'm a sapiosexual, right? Which means sort of like, you know, I'm sexually drawn to like the intellect, right? Intellectual conversation, so on and so forth, right? And so I'm wondering, Kev, how you'd explain sort of like, you know, sexiness as an attitude or energy with like, you know, people who, I don't know, we might just be sort of chopping it up really heavy, and that being, you know, kind of like the folding clothes thing, you know, or cooking thing that you were mentioning. For me, it's like intellectual dialogue, I think. It's sort of like, can we vibe just in conversation. Like if I use a word that's pretty sort of like mundane to me, like ineffable, I guess, you know, I mean, well, maybe that's not the best example, but like, you know, that's one example. Or like, I was at a dinner date one time where I mentioned, I said the word, I think I might've said something like, it was something really mundane, like furthermore, right? And they were just like, I've never heard that word before. And I was like, and mind you, this person I took to be physically attractive, everything like this, had that energy, you know, or might have had that energy, but as soon as it was just kind of like, you don't really know what, like, furthermore, it was just like, for me, that's a little, I was really turned off about that. So, you know.
All I know is that you can't be using no long dialogue in the middle of sex, okay?
and someone commented about that, Justin, too. Says that during sex, like you having conversation, asking questions during sex.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Someone made a comment about that.
And Vladimir Putin and international policy.
Shut up, bro.
Justin. So
She said Vladimir Putin.
We're not discussing that during sex. Okay?
Yeah, no, I mean, but I think the act of just communicating and conversation is intimate, right? And so again, it's not like I'm not like nerding you out in the erotic space, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But it is like, I might have some questions, like, are you good? Like I might have just sort of, I don't know, unleashed a particular.
No, I'm gonna tell you why you don't. I'm gonna tell you when you start talking in the middle of sex.
What?
Shut the fuck up.
I knew she was gonna say that.
But that energy though, we can do something with that though, right? I mean, I think that creates a dynamic, a communicative dynamic, right? Where I might hit you with it, well, like who you think you're talking to, like, and now we're playing, right?
Now we're getting somewhere.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
hold up, you two. Hold up. I got to be the referee now. Hold up.
Hey, and now you got to do it, but you got to do that like this, okay? When you say that, you got to do it like this.
I got to be the sex recipe. I mean, the sex referee right now. So hold up, guys. Hold up. Break. Now fight.
Man, you see. Right.
But like I said, let's go back to the energy. Let's go back to frequency. So even with Justin asking questions and talking during sex about, the news and what's happening, in Russia, during sex.
Y'all gonna stop playing in my sex life for real.
All I'm saying is that, listen, it is still possible. So if that person has that sexy energy and that sexy attitude and sexy frequency, it doesn't matter what he's saying and what he's asking.
Right.
Because I do believe that the sex act is just two balls of energies coming together.
Of course.
So it doesn't matter what's coming from this man's mouth. Huh?
Only two?
Well, we're talking about two right now. About two. Let's talk for two. It's Sunday, so let's keep it,
we're gonna dig into
at least rated R.
You gotta warm up to him. You gotta get him ready.
Yeah, before we get into rated X, let's stay in rated R for now, all right? It's only two. But you have these two bundles of energy coming together. So believe it or not, if your sexy is that powerful, right? She's not even hearing what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, her eyes are rolling back. Like she's in another country. She's in another land. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because after you're like, what? Remember when you told me you said you go do this? She said, I said, what? Oh. Maybe you said you go buy me an ice cream sandwich after we done. I said, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked you if you're going to buy me an ice cream sandwich after we're done. You said, yes, daddy, yes. I don't remember saying that.
Right. But I mean, I think that's sort of like, indicative of sort of like, how deeply people can get lost in the experience, as Aishia was saying earlier, right? This idea that the sexual space should be like an entire experience, right? I think that's a part of it. It's not like I'm, at the end of it, finna give you a comprehension test, right? Like, okay, now recount to me everything that was said. Like, I don't really care if you retain it or not, as long as
grade me when I'm done. Okay, let me know how it was, what it felt like, your thoughts. Okay, I need to know everything. I need you to grade it.
You said what?
I'm gonna need you to grade me when it's over.
I thought she said she needed to be degraded. Degraded, like, I'm like, what kind of stuff you into? I thought she said she needed to be degraded.
Well, that too.
I'm like, what are you saying?
I need that too.
So let me
grade me during sex and then grade me when it's over.
Right.
Anybody trying to do nothing cute? Okay, we ain't got time for cute. We need to be messy, sloppy, and dirty and wet.
Aishia. Okay.
Speaking on that note, like, have either of you ever been sort of like grossed out at all by the experience, or sort of like weirded out at all by the experience?
No.
I have to go back to the energy. It all depends, because I mean, you brought up the whole fluid thing, as far as blood and this and that. I mean, if that woman got that real pure, I mean, high volume, sexual, passionate frequency energy, you're like, I don't see no blood. I've been bleeding for 5 days. Oh, really?
Can someone tell me where the blood comes from, please?
Well, she could be on her monthly. Come on, you talking about the blood? Yeah, come on.
Like y'all run red lights?
That's not my politic in particular, right? But
What? The red light? What's a red light?
I don't judge people who are into that. You know what I'm saying? I don't judge people.
I'm not judging. I'm just wondering. I mean, because you guys keep mentioning the blood, so is it just like a,
Well, that's part of that's part of the fluid that may possibly flow from the woman. Come on, let's be honest. I mean, yeah. I told you guys, I'm Mandingo, so it all depends.
Can you go away?
I'm Mandingo.
I mean,
look at my ancestry. I'll send it to you. Like, yeah, I'm Mandingo for real.
Ooh,
Dude.
Mandingo warrior, baby.
Ladies, I'm gonna go check it out for you, ladies, and I'll come back and I'll let y'all know.
Mandingo warrior.
It's the green juice. And you
I was just about to say it's that diet.
Juice, ladies,
Here
every
it is.
day.
Every day. This is spinach and kale right here.
You can go rounds with that.
This is
Spinach kale.
This is fermented grapes. Okay. For real. But I don't know. Yeah, I can't speak to, Kev being Mandingo or not, but I don't know. I think again, like I'm trying to think of a bit beyond just the vanilla type of penetrative sex that you might have, right? People bring in toys, people bring in other instruments into their bedroom or their sexual space that might not necessarily cause injury, right? But that might sort of bring about, like, I don't know, a cut or a blood, something like that. You said what?
I have butt beads.
Did you said feet?
Butt beads.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right, absolutely. Well,
your mother's watching, right?
Hi, Mom.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Deal.
Miss Ofray.
We got your daughter on right now. That transparent comment we made earlier too. She's taking it a bit too far.
My mother knows her daughter.
Okay.
But that's what helps. That's what helps make sex sexy sometimes. You just the butt beads. At this point it's 2021. I don't know if people still use like lubricants and stuff. I feel like that's like, dinosaur age at this point. But I don't use any sex toys. I got those years ago when I was a beginner. Mm-hmm. At this point now, I use my body as a sex toy. But sometimes you do have to introduce new things. Like if sex is vanilla, if it's just the base, imagine it's like Cold Stone, then sex is the base, it's vanilla, and then all the other stuff is like the toppings that you just throw into it. All that stuff makes it sexy. But sometimes I just think not caring about the way you look or because some women, they don't like to either leave the lights on or a lot of women sometimes they don't like to, they just don't want to go all the way there because they don't know what they're going to look like. They still want to look together. I'm
glad you mentioned that. Aishia, because Kev asked me a question earlier, like what does sexiness look like, and I went straight to playlists and lights. But having the lights on, right, and sort of engaging somebody in eye contact, independent of what they're wearing or what music is playing, whatever. Women
don't like it though, Just a lot of women don't like sex with the lights on because they're not necessarily comfortable with their bodies.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm sure you guys met women who like sex with the lights on. But
yeah.
Just when you just give up all that and you're just I'm just in the middle of it and I don't care, lights on, broad daylight. Sometimes that's the sexiest sex too, when you just let it all go and just have fun.
Yeah.
Don't care.
No, let me ask you guys the question. So who do you think, the male or the female, should be in charge of bringing sexy back to the bedroom or sexy back to sex? Who should be in charge of that department?
For some reason, I always take the lead with that. For some reason, I don't know. It's just always, I take the responsibility. It's not like it's ever been handed to me. I just always take that responsibility.
Because the reason I'm asking this question too, because you talked about there are some women who may not be comfortable, in their own skin, comfortable in their bodies, right? And I just know that a man, I can only speak from my perspective, from a man's perspective, that I think it's our job to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel sexy, and then when you make them feel comfortable and say, hey, look, just because you got a couple of stretch marks, I'm gonna kiss those things. I love them. That don't bother me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought that you would. No, 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 no. I love that. Keep that off. Come here. Come here. So to me, I think it might be a man's job to kind of take charge of that department, to kind of help that woman feel more comfortable. And I think if you make her feel comfortable, she'll be open to do pretty much any and everything.
You hit the nail on the head. That's
Write that book and put that in my book,
If
fellas.
if the man makes a woman feel comfortable, they can get anything out of her sexually. I always say that, like, it's up to the man to make the woman feel it, because the women, a lot of times, especially if they have babies and things like that, like, their bodies don't necessarily go back. Sometimes the breasts are flatter from breastfeeding. Sometimes, like you said, there may be stretch marks, and that's why they want the lights off when they're being intimate. But if you make a woman feel confident,
Yeah.
you get, oh my God, there's nothing she won't do sexually.
I mean, we could take a page out of just the animal kingdom. I mean, look at certain animals that just say, they peacocks, man. They be like, hey, look at this. Try to, attract the woman. You know what I'm saying? The lion go out and kill all kinds of wildebeest and deer and stuff like that, just trying to impress the lioness. You know what I mean? So it might actually be the man's job to make sure that woman is comfortable, and secure, and say, hey, look, I got you. Don't worry about that. I like that. I love that. Come
100%.
here.
Yeah. I think for me too. I mean, I think that I've sort of like taken charge on that. I don't know if it's because I necessarily thought that it's my sort of gendered responsibility as a man, but I have just kind of like found myself as sort of like leading in that category more times than not. But I mean, Kev, like talk to me about, if you've had a woman sort of lead in bringing that sexiness to the space, how does that make you feel as a man? How are you receiving that? Because for me, that's cool sometimes, right? To kind of like, chill and not really have to sort of like carry that.
And how do you want a woman to make y'all feel sexy? Is that?
Yeah.
I think initially I have to be in charge of it. You know what I mean? I have to be in control of it. You know what I mean? Initially. But I don't like the woman per se to come on to me too strong in the beginning. I have to give the green light. I have to be the aggressor. And if I'm not, then I'm not interested too much. That's just how I am. Now, after the initial, then you can do whatever you want. Then you can initiate it and like, okay, mom, I got you. Then I'll take that as, okay, I taught you that. Who learned you that? Daddy learned you that.
Yeezy taught me, right? That's what they say. Yeezy taught me.
What about you, Justin? Do you want someone to make you feel sexy?
I mean, I think like Kevin said, I just feel sexy. I don't know if somebody can make me feel sexy, but like I do like to sort of like kind of give over that power in some context, right? Like, in some senses, I'm just curious, right? I have a gang of homegirls who talk about, the male phallus, right? Just the male penis, right? And they say things like, well, if I had a penis, and then everything that follows that sentence is exactly like what you actually don't do or, might not do with the penis. I'm just like, where do y'all get these ideas of, you know what I'm saying? Like what you might do if you had a penis. Like these are just way out, wow. But, when I think about, sort of like that kind of curiosity of like, I want to see what sexy looks like for you. If I want to give over that power, let you kind of take the lead and let's see, again, and it might be awkward, it might be funny, whatever, but I'm just curious. I want to see. And what they can do, like what women do to make me, I guess, I don't know, lean into my sexiness. I won't say to like make me feel sexy, but to like lean into my sexiness is like,
compliments.
Consenting to be in the space. You know what I mean? I think that's enough for me. Like if you kind of have given me a yes and an okay to share yourself and your body with me in this way, I think I feel I can like lean into my sexiness in this sort of sense. Yeah.
So what you don't think is sexy, Kevin? You don't like women to be abrasive initially. Yeah. Okay. And then Justin, what you don't think is sexy is what?
What I don't think is sexy?
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know, like just like a fear of being vulnerable in that space. I think if you're scared of being vulnerable in a space
like sexually vulnerable?
Yeah, but even about your body, like, so even like the sort of lights on, lights off, like I've encountered people like that. But I also feel like, if we're having sex with the lights off because you're, have some body uncomfortabilities, it's not that I won't necessarily take the sex, but I admittedly am probably going to feel like that sex is not piquing its intimacy, right? It could probably be even more intimate if we, turned up the vulnerability a notch by, knowing that we might be uncomfortable with their body or our bodies. Because, there's some parts of our body that, I'm uncomfortable with myself, especially after this quarantine, right? This quarantine weight is not it, bro. And so, it's about like turning that vulnerability up a notch for me. And if we don't, it's just kind of like, I feel like gonna peak kind of prematurely. Like we're only gonna get so intimate, or it's only gonna be so sexy. Cause I think vulnerability is sexy. So if it's like, I know you have like issues with your body or whatever, and I don't know, maybe I have a preference for like, having sex with the lights on. Well, having sex with the lights on with this particular person, right, is gonna be hella sexy, right? Because of the kind of vulnerability that has now entered the space. So that's kind of how I think about it.
And what's your take on it, Aishia, too? So like when you have sex, I mean, must it be sexy every time you have sex?
I don't think it's necessary to be sexy every time you have sex. I think sometimes it depends on what the goal is. Like, sometimes you want to turn it up and you want to please someone, or you want to just like, you want to get sexy. But for those moments, that's like a lingerie night for me. That's like a candle, because I'm intentionally turning it up.
And, and I will say this too, that none of those things are necessary for me.
Right. I mean, but like
lingerie is not necessary.
For most men, it's not.
Candles are not necessary. Music is not necessary.
I've always been a lingerie woman, and not just regular lingerie. I'm talking like, garter belts and, 5-6 piece lingerie sets. But that's because it's just, I've always loved the whole, the whole dress up thing.
Okay, well, that will last maybe, let's say, 122 seconds and it's off, it's on the floor.
But you saw it, though. That's it.
And probably got pictures.
I only walked out the bathroom and my toe just crossed over, but you saw it.
It's like she did all of that for a minute and 3 seconds.
It's like, again, it's part of the experience.
But sometimes I guess a woman has to do that too, to kind of set her own energy and her own frequency to that point, right? But I think for the man, it's not even necessary for the man.
I disagree. I think that to me, it's less about like what the lingerie actually looks like. It's to me the thought that this person put into being about to enter into this space with me.
That makes
right?
sense.
So,
yes, absolutely.
And so, it's only going to be 122 seconds and it's on the floor. And you knowing that, still having gone through whatever you need to go through. Because I don't know if you've seen some of these lingerie pieces, boy, they look like jungle gyms. You feel me? It's like all kind of straps. And I'm just like, how do you get in that?
How do you get out of that?
Oh, I figured that part out. I got that, Kev. I'm good.
Scissors, right? Scissors.
One thing I did with the lingerie is I had like this red one-piece lingerie for his birthday, and I bought a cake that was never intended to be sliced and eaten, just the cake. So I bought the one piece and it was skimpy, but that's how it was supposed to be. And I brought the cake into the bedroom because it wasn't meant to be sliced and eaten. So then the cake became part of the sex.
Yeah.
And so to me, again, like that's the experience, but that's what you want to do to make sex, an experience.
Yeah,
but it doesn't always have to be an experience. Sometimes you just want to get bent over, the bed and just go on about your business.
Your mama is listening. Hey, so let me put the phone number out there, everybody, because we have about 7 minutes left. Believe it or not, 1 hour. We're 7 minutes away from 1 hour being on. It's 310-910-9676, extension number 2. Call in, say what's up, chime in, give us your response. We want to hear from you tonight. Don't be shy. You don't even have to give your name. 310-910-9676, extension number 2. And because once we're off, we're off. Don't try to call in after hours. It's done after 8:30, okay? All right, go ahead.
Hear Kevin's voice. I mean, when he says hello.
Hello.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I do think that there's something to that sort of like intentionality and effort that goes into it.
So like at the end of the day, it's something that's just so intimate and so enjoyable when you do it with someone that you really have a good connection with.
It's so very true. I mean, and the real simple things actually matters. Like if you like send a sex message, via text, a sexy picture, just a picture of your lips or whatever, or I mean, just those little things like that. I mean, just
isn't it great? The teasing
is wonderful. Teasing is great.
Justin, do you?
But it's only from the folk that you really, are really interested in that way. You know,
For someone
because
that you don't like is sexting, you're like, ew.
right, exactly.
Yeah, I think in general, I'm pretty sex positive, right? And so there's a lot of things I think that I'm open to engaging in. And I mean, sexting, I think I'm 32. It's been I came up, I feel like, in the sexting generation.
Do you sext?
Yes, I do. Hello, caller, you there?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Hey, who are we speaking to? You don't have to give your name if you don't want to.
I'll just give it. It's T. Drake.
T. Drake. All right. You got a comment for us tonight?
Yes, I wanted to comment what the lovely lady Aishia was talking about the lingerie and the candles.
Yeah.
It kind of sets the ambiance, and it feels really good just doing a very unique, fulfilling space. So I kind of like that.
Okay.
Now, do you like the fact that, okay, the man says, okay, come here, and he's taking it off like the first 60 seconds after seeing it? You have a problem with that as well?
I absolutely do.
Oh, you got a problem
Yes.
with that. So you would much rather just kind of lounge around in the lingerie, kind of tease him a little bit. He's like, oh, my God. Hope you just take all this stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So Justin and I, we got to do better, man. We got to do better. All the guys tuned in, checking us out today. We have to do better. So what's a good time? What, an hour after an hour?
I mean, at least 15 minutes. Sheesh.
At least 15 minutes? Okay.
Just a little bit, just a little bit of time. We didn't put in a lot of thought, just a little bit, and then just go ham on it. Just do what you want to do.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna definitely gas it up, right? Like, I see you, red Teddy, let's go, right? And then hit that.
That's it.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, everyone knows about my addiction to sweets, right? It's like putting a piece of cake in front of me. You're like, don't touch it, don't eat it. Wait. Like, what? This cake is in front of me. I'm about to eat this cake right now. What? Okay.
That's so good, though. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you for calling in today.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's something I learned tonight. All right. So just be patient.
On for at least 15 minutes, okay? Rub our feet.
I'm gonna have to do what my granddaughter says. She says, "Okay, Papa, just set a timer. I'm just have to set a timer. That's it. All right." That's gonna be the longest 15 minutes ever. Like, oh my God.
When you turn like that, the white one that you turn.
Exactly. Yeah, you look like a little clock.
Take it off.
Right. Now, for the folk who's tuned in tonight, let's give them some advice. How do you actually bring, if you want that type of energy or frequency from your partner? I mean, how do you ignite that? Are there ways that you could ignite that?
Yeah,
I mean, you can't start off hard with toys. You can't. Oh, I'm just gonna bring it to like, what the heck is this? What do you expect? We got another call, guys. Hold 1 sec. Another call. All right, welcome to the Love Zone. You got a comment tonight?
Yeah, I had a question about that. For the women, although they come out visually prepared, do they require that for a man? What is their opinion about that?
That's a great question.
Wait,
What are the requirements? Like, especially for a woman, like, what do you guys require? What do you guys want?
For you guys to come out like
Yeah.
out
Mm-hmm.
I got less body products, so it's my skin for me.
Well, I mean, but Justin, you can't answer that question. So, I mean, a woman really got to answer this. So, what are some things that you guys require in order to, ignite that sexy, passionate energy in you?
Yeah, to arouse the woman.
Yeah, because you listen.
Shut up and get naked.
I think men are just so haughty and arrogant in their ways. They're like, hey, I'm just bringing myself. You know what I mean? I'm bringing my hands and my feet. That's it.
Don't say nothing.
But Aisha, so you mean to tell me, Aisha, there's not a certain scent or smell? Like, I mean, are you into like colognes?
We don't want y'all to say nothing and mess it up. Just take off your clothes and lay down.
I got you.
No, you can't ask Aisha. You can't ask her that. She's a little different, all right? No. So we need some ladies to call in tonight. Hey, my man, great question. I need to get a response from the ladies.
All right, fine,
to your
ladies, you guys
question.
Appreciate that.
Hey, appreciate your call tonight. Okay, thank you for calling. Hey, so ladies, call us tonight. That's a great question. So, what do you guys require? Like, what's the thing that's sexy to you when you see a man, and you say, hey, I want to give all this to this man. What is that one thing that it will
Are you
take?
physically or mentally or vibrationally?
Either.
All of them.
Yeah.
We just need you guys to show up, be normal.
Well,
don't
we're
be
here.
and get naked.
We're here. And if you do that, you're like, oh, you pervert. You came over here for this. I just wanted to cook you spaghetti. First and foremost, I'm not eating your spaghetti, lady.
And just be quiet. Don't mess it up.
So
be quiet and don't mess it up.
Just don't say we're gonna mess it up.
But
Okay?
no, that's real. That's real. And I'm not gonna say nothing to mess it up. But there are things like, I mean, to speak to a little bit of a version of that question, there are things that I'm gonna take, some steps to kind of bring myself into that space, right? It may not be like lingerie or whatever, a certain kind of boxing, but like it for me, it's my skincare regimen, right? And it's my scent.
Oh my God! But the way a man smells when his hands are smooth and his body is smooth.
That's what I'm talking about.
Smells amazing.
Feel me?
Oh my God! And then his armpits smell good, and you can lay your face in your armpits.
Exactly. Right. And so don't underestimate
like
scent.
you can lay your face in your armpits.
Hey, don't underestimate scent, man. I don't think cats is really out here wearing enough cologne. And I don't mean like, the lip
The right cologne can turn a no into a yes. I'm just telling you right. I'm telling you. Okay?
Look, a no to a yes from a mile away, right? It's like, oh wait, what was that?
You know what I'm hearing from the ladies tonight is that they don't know. All right, so fellas, it might be our job just to test certain things to see and check her response, and if you don't get a response from this, I mean, I'm talking about little subtle things, like it could be the oils that you wear, anything like that. You know what I mean? You have to test and see what works, because I'm getting them from they really don't know. They don't know what.
I just told you what we want. Y'all think I'm mean?
But Aisha, listen, we can't take advice from you. It can't. No, it ain't gonna work because you a different kind of woman.
Listen, Kel's from Atlanta.
Not all women want to be choked. All right.
Kel's from Atlanta is watching the show and he's saying that he can't take it. And listen, he knows he's laughing, but that's the truth. We just
every woman don't want to be choked, Aisha. Okay, you're like, okay, well, just choke me. Like, no, we can't do that. No. Not initially. No, not initially.
I mean,
fine, whatever. Fine, whatever. Women don't want to be. I want to be choked.
Right. See, we know that. So that's why we can't take advice from Aisha. Be like, no, Aisha, like, you know what? I took your advice, and guess what? I spent the weekend in jail. I'm calling. Come bail me out.
You gotta stop playing with me and trying me, okay?
Come bail me out, please. I was only listening to Aisha.
Not for nothing. I'll just have you sign a disclaimer.
Right.
Okay?
That's what Derek should have done, right?
The NDA. Oh wow.
That's what Derek should have done. You know what I mean? Had ladies sign off on disclaimers. Hey.
Sign the right way right there. Okay.
Right.
If I pass out, it's okay. Just sign up right there.
All right, so Dr. Justin, man, this is your topic. This is your baby, man. It's 8:34, so we've been on for an hour and 4 minutes so far. So what should we take away from today's question, if you will?
I mean, I think the takeaways, right, is that sex can be sexy, but it isn't always. And that, as it pertains to sexiness, it may be an energy, it may be certain acts, it may be a scent, right? It may be a certain kind of effort and preparation. And yeah, I mean, but also, sex is just fun, it's quick, it's nasty, it's so on and so forth. And so, if your sex ain't sexy, don't fret. If you want your sex to be sexy, have a conversation about it. But yeah, and if you're into choking, Aisha,
if you're into choking,
so yeah, those are the takeaways. That's what I took away from it.
Watch what Aisha. She's gonna come up with a book, The Art of Choking.
The art of choking. You could do it, girl.
Right. Well, listen, thank everyone for calling in tonight and hanging out with us tonight. It was a very, very interesting topic, to say the least. And I have to say, I've learned a few things tonight. I thought I knew it all, and in the sex arena. But man, that's some things I've learned tonight. Some things that you brought up, Dr. Justin. I'm like, what? Never heard of that before. You know? So I guess it is possible to teach an old dog some new tricks.
You're a young dog.
Oh, thank you. See, that was sexy to me right there. When she said that, see, it doesn't take much at all. That's it. True. All right, guys. Hey, so Aishia, take care of that knee, baby. All right? Take care of the knee.
Me and her will be back. For the
Right.
next episode.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in the next couple of weeks or so, and we'll come back with something new, exciting, and we may have some special guests that might, chime in and help us out with another great discussion. But where can they find you, Aishia?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Aishia Deal, AISHIADEAL, like Dill or No Deal. And I have a podcast. It's called Shit Women Think About, and that's on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play.
All right, Dr. Clardy.
Yay. You can follow me across all my socials at Your Fave Philosopher, URFAVFILOSOPHER. Or you can just go to JustinClardy.com, where, you can find all things academic, all things Justin. So, yeah, even my book club, Pages, the reading group. Holla.
Nice. And I'll see you guys on the radio tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. I do believe it's the best station on the planet. Radio Free 102.3 KJLH, nightly from 7 p.m. until midnight. I'll see you guys then. We're out. Peace.